about Gemara, we're up at Mem Aleph on Ben Aleph in the middle of the page. So the last thing we learned was about how sicknesses also bring on dementia as well, or amnesia as well. And how Rabbi Yehuda Hanassi, because of that launderer, was able to restore his memory. And I told you this is the same Hahu Kaivis we had in the Gemara Ksuvas, the person who always used to be by Rebbe's house, and punkt the day that he passed away, he wasn't there.
Yes. Every time he gets a mention, Rashi jumps and says, he lost his memory, he forgot everything.
Okay, but I told you yesterday the reason why we normally relate the fact that he was blind and losing his memory because he couldn't learn the sight. But I told you yesterday the Ran in Rosh Hashanah brings a medrash, and he says that he deliberately made himself blind because Rabbi Yosef said he cannot control himself. Is not to see outside of 4 amas, so this 4 amas, so he made himself blind. And another issue, and I can't remember which issue it was I saw. He went into a cave and spent some time in a cave, a very dark cave, for a few days. Then he went outside in the middle of broad daylight and looked in the sun. And then that's how he became blind. But he did deliberately. The question is, did he realize it would come at a cost? That he's going to forget his learning. And if he would have realized that, what would he do then? He'd be in a conundrum. What should we do? But also remember, Arab Sachar, Rabbi Yosef, the Gemara talks about the 3 vices that a person has: being a captain, a temper, being very fastidious, OCD, and be miserly. And he says, "Kulam," I have all these inadequacies in life. So maybe he was a very strong, disciplined person. Telling him about Alexander. Omar Abchia. Every time someone is a chayla, we're talking about serious sicknesses here, and then he recovers, from a certain respect, is greater than the miracle that took place by Hananiah, Mishael, Azariah. And how is that? So Hananiah, Mishael, Azariah, then Chanetzah said that you have to bow down to these avodah zarah. He made out of gold, and Hananiah, Mishael, Azariah refused. He got so angry. They told everybody they're refusing, so he threw them into this fiery furnace, which he told them to make it hotter than ever before. And then he saw them parade, and he tied them up as well. And he saw that the ropes were loosened up, and there was a malach there walking around with them. So then he changed his mind. He said no one should trap Eden anymore. Eden actually in Babel lived very well. Once they were in Babel, in fact, Ezra couldn't get them to leave Babel. They all wanted to remain behind. A couple of few thousand. Then he had to curse Levim for not wanting to go. They were actually having a good life. And that explains what yesterday we were talking about Rosh Hashanah. So the Gemara. Why the greater? Human made the fire. Anybody can take fire extinguishers or whatever in water and extinguish it. Sickness of a chayil shemayim. And who can extinguish it? And we actually have the Gemara Ksuvas, but the Gemara says Hakol Tov L'Shemayim Chutz Mitzinim Upachim. That this is and it's totally in you, because you could have dressed so warmly, you could have done this and that. So I guess what he's saying here is not the trigger for it, but what exactly it is. The heat itself, the sickness, the fever itself is min hashemayim. Once a person is nearing his death, suddenly he loses total control. Doesn't matter while he was alive. In his lifetime, he was such a authoritative person. But once he's dying, he's no longer in control. How do we know that? Because it says that Cain said, "Well, you call Moitzi, anybody will find me. Again, he will kill me." Because he knows, even though I'm Cain and everything else, I have no control. That means even a fly, or a gnat, anybody can kill. But the following passage, it says, that the day came that you decided to pass on mishpat, and then it says that everybody becomes the Eibish's eved to go ahead and carry out the Eibish's decision. If this person has to die, anybody in the world can become the shliach of the Eibush, the Malach HaMavos, to kill that person. Now, the first passage, all we know is Kol Moitzi. If I happen to encounter somebody. The second passage, no, it's planned. Everybody. And we'll bring a few examples. Rabbi Shalom related told them once that they told him a story that Shochiv Gavragway was a very tall man, and before we said that generally tall people are strong. He was riding a very low, a short donkey. They came to a bridge. He stavit. The donkey became bewildered, became scared, became frightened, or he went crazy. Different Shotim. Shadya, and this little donkey, short donkey, threw him off. Because Shochiv, and he died. Nah, that's not really possible. The guy is tall. He could have just stepped right down. He right remember the pasuk. The person's day came. Doesn't matter where you are. Shmuel chazi lahu. Shmuel once saw lahu. Okay. Lahu akrava. He saw the scorpion. Yesiva al kukta sitting on top of a frog. Now the scorpion wanted to cross the river. How could he can't swim across? But frogs can. So he jumped on top of a frog. But Avra Nahara crossed the river. Torka Gavra came and bit this person. The mayis and that person died. So look how the frog and the scorpion, worked together to carry out the shlichus karlei. How much was Shmuel? You don't visit a sick person unless they have fever. When we fever, another sickness you don't visit. What do you mean? Which ones shouldn't you visit? Somebody is choyle you don't visit them. Lodi visit somebody who's sick in the eye. Those two you don't visit. And or somebody has big migraines. Now choyle mayim is these three you don't visit. Why not? Now choyle mayim is somebody that has constant diarrhea and all that. We learned a lot of Amoraim had choyle mayim. And choyle ayin is pain in the eye or headaches. He constantly run into the bathroom, or we also learned other places that he has a certain smell about. Okay, choyle ayin, guy has an eye or mechush he has terrible headaches. My time him because Rabbi Huda said, the Buddha kasha. This is our guess. Other different guesses. The Buddha kasha speaking, talking, waffling, bothers somebody who has an eye ache. Has no patience to hear you waffle because it makes it worse, exacerbates the situation. But on the other hand, and same thing for headaches. But a ma'ilishta, it's very good and therapeutic for somebody who has fever. You sit and talk to them and you make them forget about their situation. So you're in a conundrum now. What do you do? Not talk about it? Oh, so what do? Talk is good for the ishta for the fever, but it's bad for the headaches and the eye aches. Not talk. Cool. The Rambam, they found a letter from the Rambam, a manuscript from the Rambam that is not printed. There's a simple line on the Mishkan, he printed that the Rambam says when you go visit somebody, you should tell them stories. Talk about everything except for the sicknesses. Distract them. And that is the Indian of the Vakachela. And he talks in detail what he should do, what you should talk to him about, and so on. Very interesting. The Vilna Gaon's Girsa is that it's bad for both. It's bad for the eye and it's bad for fever, talking a lot. So and there's in other words, that's why and what do you call and it's bad for eye aches and headaches. The Rosh says are the same. So I'm not sure then why for fever you do go in if it's bad for everything. However, high ishta that this fever, he loved the pavanka, the malacha, the moiser. It wouldn't be a pavanka is a shliach. We're famous saying Kaya Digus Lever Pavanka. If you wouldn't be the Shlich Malachamavas, Male fever. If it wouldn't be a killer and be a Shlich Malachamavas, fever is actually very good for your body. It's amazing. This is modern medicine that having a fever is your body is is fighting all kinds of sicknesses. It cleanses your pores, sweating. It's a good for your body from time to time. It cleans itself out. But the Gemara, this is exactly what the Gemara is saying here. Not for the fact that sometimes, occasionally, it's a shliach malachamavis and it terminates someone's life. Mal is good for a person, like a protection around a palm tree. You have these, these things that prick your finger, and all around the palm tree, so that animals shouldn't go there. And it preserves the tree, preserves the fruit. So the same thing, sickness, fever is a good thing. Once every 30 days. That's the Maisa. Tell that to all the people here in Melbourne because they actually learn to see mother. We have people on sick leave every month. Sorry, they learn to Gemara. That's what it is. Some kind of a potion that's supposed to be very good for your body. No, but on the side here, one of those there's a Rashi. If you look in Gillian Rashi, tells you what Kuti Rashi. Yeah. Anyway, no, not here. Someone else. I don't want the sickness and I don't want the medical. I'd rather be just healthy. This arson is very good for you. What is it? My I'll tell you what it is. It's chushla de sari. It's barley that you peel. Atika old ones. It's old barley that you peel. And Rashi goes a bit more than that. He said they used to soak the barley in water. And this is Lakutei Rashi from Mitzvah. They soak the barley in water and they then dry it out in an oven, and then they thresh it. So the barley is still whole. They thresh it with cows. It takes off their peel, and that is supposed to be excellent, therapeutic. Yeah, the reish nafya, and then the beginning of the sieve. That means either some say it means the top of the sieve, or it means the first thing that come out of the sieve. That's what you should use. Amar Abaye. Abaye says, "Boy in bishula can't be said to it, but you have to, if in order to work, you have to cook it. And this time cooking it, but you got to cook it very well, just like you cook a piece of meat." Rabbi Yosef says, "Smidid desare. It's the flour of barley atikos, not the barley itself, but it's the flour of the barley. The reish nafya. You have to cook it like bisud to it." Rabbi Yochanan said, "Bardam." If somebody has a sickness called burdum or burdos, if it's a samach, it means somebody has terrible diarrhea and has to go constantly to the bathroom maybe a few minutes. It's worse than choyle mayim, and because it's constant, therefore ein mevakin. Or others say it's burdam, it's constantly flowing blood. The word dam. Ein mevakin. Ein maskinin shmoi. Now this is interesting. You know, growing up, that when it comes to cancer, they say yenamach. Why would they say yenamach? Comes from the one right here. The ein maskidin shema. You don't name the name of the sickness. My time of why? It's constant. It's like a mine. It's like a spring that constantly flows. And Rashi says, don't know what exactly that means. Mafarish. It's a sakana to say the name. The Ran says it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Other subjects embarrassing. Ran says because it's undignified to mention by its name. What do you mean? He says, yes, boy, sakana lahaskiroi. Yeah, it's contagious.
The disease is highly contagious.
Yeah.
And there's sakana to mention it. But if I mention anything, if I'm talking, that's not the issue. It's just mentioning the name of that.
Yeah, you're like asking for it. Like Al Tifsel Pella Sutton. It's the same idea. Somehow or another, it's a sakana by mentioning it. The Ran says it's not a lashon nikia. It's not edifying to mention a disease that kills people, that makes people in a terrible way, to mention it by name. Interesting. It's not lashon nikia. Sorry?
No wonder it's typhus. That's a disease where they
Louder. Yeah.
They get terrible diarrhea and eventually deadly.
And the Rosh says you don't mention names not to embarrass the sick person. So according to the Rosh, you don't mention names only for standing in front of the sick person. According to everybody else, it sounds like nowhere. Anyway, that's where you get the idea of Yanamach. But today it's so rampant, unfortunately, that we don't really do that anymore. Many people don't do that. So you want further. The Mishnah says that even though there was a neder between the two of you, you can treat him. You can treat him as it says refuas an effort, but not refuas a goof. Refuas mama. What does that mean? Says the Gemara. Refuas an effort. How do we understand it? Are we going to try and interpret it? Refuas never beginnen. You're allowed to do it zist for nothing. And refuas mama beschar. And refuas mama means to get paid. You're allowed to. In other words, we're saying over here in the case that I was talking about here that the sick person was the one who made the neder. And he said, I don't have any benefit from this doctor. So therefore, if you don't charge, no problem. But if why is no problem? I said I don't have any benefit from the doctor. The reason why it's not a problem is because, like I learned before, it's as if I made a neder, but not when it comes to hurt me. It's harming me if I prevent the doctor from helping me. I never had that in mind in the first place. So he can. But when can he take care of me? Only if it's for free. But if it costs money and he forgoes the money. If he takes the money is one thing, but if he forgoes the money, I'm getting now the benefit of the money, and that I made a net that I don't have any benefit from you. Is that pshat? At least the hach. Then why did Mishnah talk about the fus and nefesh and the fus mama? Should just say merape bechin lebeschar. Ella. So most of Shayim now learned the Gemara's answer is not from the fire of everyone else. Refuas nefesh. We're talking about faket that the madir that the doctor said he doesn't have any benefit from the sick person. Ella, so he says like this. He says here, refuas nefesh gufay. We're talking about that the doctor is not said, I don't want that the doctor said, I don't want you to have any benefit from me. The doctor don't have any benefit from me. And you're allowed to force nefesh gufa. You're allowed to heal. Why is he allowed to heal? Why is he allowed to heal? Again, still we're talking about the doctor saying, you shouldn't have any benefit from me. So why is the doctor allowed to come and heal the person? You're having benefit from the doctor. So Moses Shayin learn because he's doing a mitzvah. Now, so what are you doing mitzvah? Why if you're doing a mitzvah is allowed? The fact is he's benefiting from you. So, yeah. So Moses Shayin add a little bit more flavor to it. And they say, because when you're doing a mitzvah, I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for me. And when I said I don't want you to have any benefit for me, I'm talking about the benefits for you. I don't want you to have any benefit for me where the benefit is for you. But if the benefit is for me, I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for me because the mitzvah to heal. So then you're allowed to. But if it was mammon, behemtoi. And if it was mammon is the animal. Now, why should there be a difference in animal or a person? By a person is a mitzvah, but yerape. The way that the Shayim talk about it, they actually all throw in pekuach nefesh. So we're talking about obviously a very sick person there. And as if to say, but if it wouldn't be pekuach nefesh, on the one hand, then you're not really helping him that much. When you're really helping him, saving his life. So it's a problem there, but the tenet is a mitzvah. Now, even according to Moses Shayim, even there's another doctor available that can do it and still have pekuach nefesh. I'm still doing the mitzvah pekuach nefesh, even though the other doctors are available, because I've been learning here for Shabbos that even though the 10 people can go run and bring the fruit that you need or whatever you have to do for that sick person. So I'm still doing pekuach nefesh. But when it comes to an animal, you don't have a mitzvah to save the animal. The vet doesn't have a mitzvah. What about Hashavas Haveda? We learned before that if you're allowed to give return to the Haveda because it's because of Hashavas Haveda. So some Rishonim say that Hashavas Haveda is not because it's a mitzvah over there. Hashavas Haveda is because you're giving back that person's thing. Remember the Ran said before, you're giving back that person's thing, their item. But most Rishonim say it's a mitzvah. So how come there's no mitzvah to cure the animal? So it seems that the mitzvah is, if you lost something, it's a mitzvah for me to give it back to you. There's no mitzvah for me to fix it for you. If you lost something that's all broken, I have no mitzvah to fix it. I have a mitzvah to give it back to you. And if we'll learn the mitzvah, if it's an animal, you have to feed it to keep it the way it was when you found it. But if the animal is sick, where's the mitzvah to fix up the animal? So Moses Shayim, it seems to Moses Shayim that the pshat is there's no mitzvah so someone called me actually last week. His dog is very sick. It's very expensive to take to a vet because there's no insurance for these things. Does he have a mitzvah? Does he have a mitzvah to go ahead and to invest in that operation to save the animal? You see, clearly want to know. Right here, no. Others say there is someone trying to say that by an animal, if there is a mitzvah, but you can give it to another doctor, which has to be you. It's not the same mitzvah to pekuach nefesh that every single person that does it, even though you don't end up saving their life, you as long as you went ahead and tried to save your life, you did pekuach nefesh. I'm saying by an animal, it's the outcome, and it's not the no. By pekuach nefesh is not even the outcome, because lavdafki you'll save the person. The pekuach nefesh, the mitzvah is the actual activity of trying to save a nefesh. Therefore, it doesn't matter how many doctors there are. But when it comes to let's say hashavas and all that, it's the outcome, and because the outcome can be done by somebody else, you don't even have a mitzvah. Okay, now another thing is a fascinating Ramban. If you ever have a chance to look up, I forgot to bring it in for Ramban in Parshas B'chut Koisei, the end of the brachas before the Teichel starts. The Ramban there writes that fascinating Ramban. The Ramban writes, the Gemara says, "Mekan nitin l'shus l'reifel l'rapei." He says, nowhere does it say Mekan nitin l'shus l'choyle l'rapei. He says a sick person should not go to doctors. You need to have faith in Hashem. Going to a doctor, he says, is a betrayal in your faith in Hashem. And he goes on and on and on. The doctor didn't do anything wrong, and the idea is that if he messes up, you shouldn't sue him for malpractice. He tried his best, and he shouldn't feel guilty. But he said a person should have betochen the Eibishter. Rabbi Yosef never called the doctor in his house when Rabbi was there at Yeshiva. So the Taz of Shulchan Aruch wants to say that the Ramban there is talking to tzaddikim. But only tzaddikim are a very high, within tzaddikim itself, only on those are very high madrega, but everybody else should go to see the doctor. In fact, it's a mitzvah to go to see a doctor. Not just the doctor should heal, but you should go. But he says you have to have a munah. We're talking.
It's a very hard job for the doctors that try to see people.
You know the famous story about
I
Shem
can see the town and say to him and have a money there, used to be on the farmers. But if I go out and get a job, it's a much better case for the block.
Because it says Kolamachar Santam Time Losin Olech. So the Abishah says, I'm in total control of sicknesses. Different than anywhere else. But the Abishah feels that I am in total control of sicknesses. So you're the one who gave me the sickness. I should talk to you and take it, take it away. There's a Baal Tshuva who became a chassid of the musician Magid, and he used to be a doctor. That was his profession. And and once he was in Chiddush, the musician Magid said to him, "So what are you doing? How's it going as your medical chassid?" He says, "I'm now a balagola. I ride wagons." He said, "What? You're a doctor?" And he said, "No." When he became frum, he started to learn. And in the Mishnah, in the very end of the Mishnah, it says, "Toiv shebereifim legehenim." The best of doctors go to Gehenim. So obviously, it's not a trait for Yiddish boy. So I gave it up. So Mzujah Magid said, "You don't understand Pshat in the Mishnah. There are 18 brachas in Shemon Esrei, and one of them is for Eino Hashem v'nei Rachel." The problem a lot of doctors are, especially surgeons, skilled surgeons, they think that somehow or another they're in total control of the situation. If they saved somebody's life, they felt that they did it themselves because of their abilities. And they forget that you're for Eino Hashem, that every doctor has a malach and every doctor needs the Eivish and so on. So therefore, Toiv is Gematria 17. So Toiv Shebereifim, those doctors that only believe in 17 out of 18 of the brachas of Shemon Esrei, they don't believe in Fe'einu Hashem and Rafei, they get him. But those who believe in the 18 brachas, musician Magid. And actually, some of the Shainim say over here, what's the difference in an animal and a doctor? Why when it comes to a human, we say that even though other doctors you should do it, an animal, they say is because every doctor has a malach, and not every person is meant to be cured from every single doctor. This doctor somehow or another has the mazel to cure you, and that doesn't. So it doesn't matter. Other people might even be superior to this doctor. This doctor can help you. Okay, let's finish. You definitely could advise the person because you're not giving him anything, you're just advising. So you're allowed to say what medicines to take, what medicine not to take. The whole machlek is if the doctor went by a person, can the doctor actually give the medicine as well or just heal the person and tell him where to buy the medicine or not? Next Mishnah. You can bathe together in a large bath. Because the fact that a second person is in there doesn't add anything. If it's a small bath, a small little pool, a second person walks in and raises the water, it helps out he's having hana. If you were not meant to have hana for me, even a nominal hana we had before, just walking into the person's house is already hana. So you can't do that. The Yashanim and Mitta, you sleep together in a bed. And Rabbi Yehuda says, and Gemara will explain that Rabbi Yehuda is actually not arguing, he's explaining. When can you sleep in bed in the same bed? They couldn't afford to have more than one bed. In the summer, which I'm not adding any comfort for cats. It's discomfort. I'm generating more heat. When it comes to the winter, when you're cold and body heat, generates warmth, then you're giving him hana. That's forbidden. You're allowed to sit in the same. You're allowed to sit. They used to eat and there's to recline. On these sofas, you're allowed to sit together. We don't think you're going to fall asleep. You're allowed to eat in the same table together. Even though we learned about Zara, that you can't have somebody eating flesh and milchiks on the same table together. But over here, we're not worried, as the one of the Shaman explains. When I make a neded against you, why do I do that? Because I don't like you. So there's no chance in the world that we're going to share food together on the table. Tamchu is a large tray. Now, this large tray, if everyone had a little piece, everyone had part of it. If I ate less of it, then you would have more to eat. So I'm benefiting you. But if you're on the way back, going back to the balabas, since nobody takes it anymore, they go back to the bus, then it's all right to take it on the way back. Take less, take more, it's not a problem. Both of you at the same time. Time we learned. Rameir says you should not. Rameir is going to always make zaydus. He says even in the case where there's no benefit, we're going to be gazing in the case, or up to a case where there's a benefit. You shouldn't bathe with him together in this ambati. You should not sleep with him in the same bed, whether it's large or whether it's small. Rabbi Yehuda says, so Meir holds in all instances by a bed, even though it might be large, there's no benefit, but we're going to a small bed. Rabbi Yehuda says, Rabbi Yehuda says a gedela even in the winter time, by a bed. Ambati says is always permissible. And Gedola, even in the winter time, there's no benefit. So I don't care what size it is permitted. And a katana and a small one, I'm not going to make Zedus. In the summertime, there's no better a bed. No benefit. It's mutter. It's only a bed in the winter time when it's small, and then you're generating heat. That it's that you're adding. There's a problem of hana. You can bathe yourself in a large bath. In all cases, it's not a problem. But when it comes to a sauna, even if it's a small room, doesn't matter because you don't add anything. It's so hot. Another person doesn't add anything. Exactly what our Mishnah said. I'm going to be the tamcha that goes back to the balabas as we said before. When it comes to a lot of workers, the balabas used to feed them, but they put it like in a trough because there were so many workers. They just put this food in a large trough there. So you should not eat with him. That's there. Why not? Because if you eat less, there'll be more food for others, so you're benefiting him. You shouldn't work on the same, plow with the same part of the section of the field, the same row, because when you're tilling the soil, you're softening it up. You're sort of benefiting, even though he's a little bit further. He's not, he's not standing right there, a little bit further away. You benefit him as well, unless he's far away. Say Rameir is geyser far away or too close. Again, he always makes Zedus. And Chacham say you can do even if it's far away, it's all right. Doesn't matter the Kodev, like Pligidos. There's no machlekes. If even the Chacham agrees, if it's right next to him, I'm benefiting you. Keep Pligi Berachik far. I'm softening up the ground for you. Rabban Sabri like Gazi. Rabban Hol, we're not geyser at all. Up here.